Every day, American justice is delivered in hearings that look just like this. In the dock, a disproportionately high number of young black men.
Good morning.
Men like Eugene Johnson, Derek Wheat and Larice Glover. But this is not what it seems. The tears are not born of sadness or regret.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Wheat, and Mr. Glover, your names in the history of your case have been with me since I started this job.
The three have been in prison since 1995, convicted for shooting dead another teenager one snowy night in East Cleveland.
Years later, here we are again with...
A decade later, the key witness to the crime recanted. And now their lawyers have found that evidence that someone else was the shooter was never presented at trial.
The suppression of that evidence and its subsequent discovery clearly undermines any confidence the public might have had in the verdict that was previously rendered.
And so, after 20 years fighting for freedom, the same system that locked them up lets them out.
The court finds that the three defendants' motions for new trial are well taken and granted.
With hearts fit to burst, it's joyous news for their families.
We've been waiting for this for so many years. It's really still unbelievable. Right. Really, it is. It's so unbelievable. I just can't believe it.
That's all we wanted, so the truth can come out. That these boys, they were railroaded. And the real killer of Clifton Hudson got to live his life. And I hope he's watching. I hope he's watching. Like I said, for 20 years, you got to pay for your crime, not these boys.
Brian Howe worked on the East Cleveland 3 case as a law student. Now a senior lawyer with the Ohio Innocence Project. He says technically the men could still face retrial, but the case against them has collapsed.
You know, if it does go to trial, we're certainly confident that they'll be exonerated, they'll be acquitted as part of that process. Whether it will actually get that far, whether the state will dismiss the charges, remains to be seen.
Do you believe that they're innocent?
Absolutely. Absolutely, no question.
All right, ready?
Innocent men freed by the Ohio Project turned up at the courthouse to lend support.
1, 2.
All released after wrongful convictions for rape or murder. Most dramatically, a man called Ricky Jackson was exonerated and released here in Cleveland at the end of last year. Now, he was convicted when he was just 18 for a murder he didn't commit and served an extraordinary 39 years. So long that by the time he came out, his neighborhood, his whole city was barely recognizable.
So you had these preconceived notions about what you think the world looks like, but when you actually get out here, you're like, man, I've been gone a long time.
It was 1975 when Ricky was convicted with 2 of his friends for the violent killing of a businessman on the city's east side.
The gentleman that had been murdered was a white man, middle class, had a nice family, had a good job. For 3 people, our faces to appear as being the perpetrators of such a heinous crime, 3 young black men out of the neighborhood, it was just so easy.
So easy to round up 3 black teenagers and, based on false testimony elicited by police from a 12-year-old, sentence all 3 to death.
They gave me this suit, this jumpsuit with a red stripe down it. That was for death row inmates. All the time I'm thinking, they're gonna straighten this out. Somebody made a terrible mistake, but the right person is gonna come forward and say, stop, you got the wrong guys. And I kept thinking this all the way up till that door slammed on my back. And I was looking into that cell. And that's when it finally hit me, you know, that they're gonna kill me for nothing.
In his modest apartment, Ricky spends time with his beloved Bob Marley and reflects on the system that didn't execute him but took 39 years of his life,
Don't want that.
only granting his freedom when the key witness finally admitted lying.
Big picture scratch.
For you, is being out of prison what you imagined it would be?
No, it just blows my whole notion of what I thought things would be like. It just shatters it. Technology, I think that's the biggest thing that I've had to adapt to, you know, the way that people relate to each other now. I'm not saying that I came from a perfect world in 1975, but people were more in touch with each other, and as far as communication and personal relationships were concerned, and now it's just that life is so fast-paced that, you know, it's about a text now.
Do you have any sense of anger?
If I said no, I would be lying. There are moments when you just think about all the things that you've lost and probably will never recover, and it does make you angry. The system failed me so miserably, but sooner or later you have to put it in perspective and move on, or else it's going to destroy you. I've had 39 years of depression, anxiety, anger, bitterness, loneliness. I don't want to live like that anymore.
Look at my brother. Look at my brother.
Outside the county jail, the East Cleveland Three are being released. After 20 years, Derek Wheat, Eugene Johnson and Larice Glover finally in the embrace of their families. Although Derek's parents have died while he's been in prison. Can you get a full sense of it yet?
No, not really. It's just, you know, it's bittersweet because I wish my mother and my father could have been here to see this because they was my biggest supporters.
Watch the door. They gotta close the door.
It's just, you know, I got my sister and the rest of my family. And it's just overwhelming right now. I don't know. I'm just blessed right now. I'm blessed. He been there for us, man. I want to thank the Innocent Project, this guy right here, because they believed in us, and it's just been a long road.
Get in touch with me, man. It's y'all day, though, man. Enjoy.
And in the background,
I'm out of here, man. I just want to be down here.
Ricky Jackson, there to wish them well, there to offer his support, there to tell them don't look back, just follow the signs and keep on walking to see what it is to be free.
Feels good. Yeah.
Kylie Morris, Channel 4 News, Cleveland.